The title of my sermon today is on Prophet Jeremiah. So he is known as the weeping prophet who would not give up. He just would not give up. So let's watch a short video about Jeremiah.
Jeremiah was a young boy when he heard God speak to him. God said, "I choose you to be a prophet to all nations," which means that he had chosen him to be a messenger of God. Jeremiah was worried as he was only young and he was quite shy. He didn't know how he would have the right words to speak, but God said that he would always be with him and not to be afraid, as he would give him the right words to say. God had chosen him to speak to the people of Judah on his behalf and to tell them about God's judgment. Even though lots of them wouldn't listen, he still told them. But they rejected him, and they were angry at him for trying to tell them how they should live. They were so angry at him that they put him in prison just for telling them about God. Now, Jeremiah was only 20 years old when he started to travel around to declare the word of God. He dedicated his life to this mission and often faced anger from people, but he still continued to listen and follow God for many, many years.
Yeah, amazing. After we watch that video, next slide. Yeah, so let's play a game. I need 15 volunteers and a mixture of age lining up in front of me here. Come on, mix of age, because they all can't be young people. I need of different age. Oh, yeah. Come on. Caleb. Come on. You gotta help me out here, you know. Bruce. Pauline. Come on. No physical. No, nothing physical. Okay, we can have as many people as you want, actually. Cool. No, turn this way. So, the idea is, I am going to whisper a phrase, a sentence to Eva. And then she is going to whisper. You can only do one time. Do not ask me or the person in front of you to say it again. There's no such thing. Okay? I'm just going to whisper. Nobody knows what it says. No repeating. Keep going. How is it Jonathan to Caleb is so quick? And from Caleb to Bosede is so long. Okay, we know how this is going to end. I so love how John is in the middle. Guys, you cannot hear. Yes. I know, right? Interesting. Exactly. It got shorter. Okay, Brianna, what was it?
Speak to the Lord.
Speak to the Lord. Amazing. So, the thing that I whispered to Eva was, speak the truth with love even when it's hard. And the end is, speak to the Lord. Wow, guys. You go have a seat. Thank you so much. Young people, please sit down. It's crazy. It's just crazy. So that game actually illustrates the change of message when it's passed person to person, and how prophets like Jeremiah had to deliver God's message exactly, even when people didn't like it or they tried to change it. Okay? Now, can somebody tell me, like, was the message the same at the end? No, the message wasn't the same. Why do you think it changed? Why did you think it changed? From her, from Eva, right down to Brianna. Jonathan, what did you hear?
Speak the truth of life, even when it's hard. And then what did you say?
But what did you say?
Apparently, Caleb heard speak the truth of, speak the truth of Ruth, even in
So it was Caleb. It was Caleb. All right, okay. So, it was Bosede. So imagine Jeremiah's time when he said something and then people were like, but he said this and they said that and I added salt and sugar on it. How crazy is that? So Jeremiah didn't pass on a mixed up message. Even though it was sad, even though he was sad and hard and made him even cry. You know, Jeremiah was known as the weeping prophet because he's always crying. But he told the truth exactly as God gave to him. And that's why he was called a weeping prophet. And God told him, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Next slide. So if you can, if I can do one thing today, I would love for you all to go away with at least one of these ideas, okay? The big idea today's message is God called us to be faithful, okay? God called us to be faithful even when it is hard or sad, and the promise that He will always be with us, always, okay? So, introduction, right? Raise your hand if you ever felt really sad. Raise your hand. Really sad. Okay, put your hands down. Raise your hand if you have felt sad because you care deeply about someone or something. Incredible. Yeah. Okay. So that's how Jeremiah felt. He was a prophet who loved God and God's people, but the people don't listen to him. That's why he's called the weeping prophet, because he cried a lot, not because he was weak, but because he cared deeply. Okay? So thank you to Ede for reading so wonderfully on Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4 to 8. And then that verse is all about God called Jeremiah. Remember, he said, but I'm too young. And God says, no, you're not too young because I am with you. And then Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 1, it says, my head were a spring of water and my eyes a fountain of tears. I would weep day and night for my people. Again, he cried a lot. Not as a sign of weakness, but because he cared deeply. Can I just share, I am no way like Jeremiah. I remember when I was growing up, you know what's my nickname when I was growing up? When I was growing up, I was known as a crybaby. Like, come on guys, me, crybaby. Because I cried at everything, every single thing when I was young. Before anybody, you just have to look at me, and I was like, you looked at me, you know. I was always crying. I cried about everything. And then, so this is, the backstory is, I have a huge family. I come from a very, very big family. So when I was growing up, we all lived at the same house, my grandfather's house, which is a big house. And then we all lived there. So imagine living with your 20 cousins. So every day was like fun, you know. You wake up going, yes, I've got all these people to play with me, you know. So, but then it also comes with a lot of I don't want to play with you. And you're like, but I want to be your friend. Like, why don't you bring me? It's a lot of that. But you know what? I learned very, very quickly that if I did not get what I want or I didn't get my way, all I need to do is cry. Yes, that's all I need to do. So everyone, all my cousins always say, you're just a crybaby. You're such a crybaby. So I'm nowhere near like Jeremiah, who cried not because he's weak, but because he cares. So the three truths we can take away from Jeremiah's life. The first truth is God knows you and calls you. Before Jeremiah was born, God already had a plan for him. God already had a job for him. God says, you're not too young, old, quiet, or busy, God says. God knows you and have a purpose for you. Do you remember what Oasis spoke about in April in All Age Worship? Oasis spoke about how don't think yourself as you're too young or you're too old or too old? Come on. We're not that old. Come on, we're young at heart. You're quiet or you're busy, but God knows you and have a purpose for you. Say it together. God knows me and has a plan. There you go. You just declared it over your life. God knows you and has a plan. I was actually it was funny because Graham saw the Bible reading that I was going to have. And he was like, no, that's not you, Doreen. Because if you know me, my favorite verse is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know my plans for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not bring you harm. Plans to give you hope. Like literally. And he was like, but that's not you, Doreen. I was like, no, we're going to change things up a little bit. So God knows you and he calls you. And the second point is, it's okay to be sad. Because Jeremiah was sad. It's okay to cry. Even strong people like Jeremiah wept. God sees our tears. Here we go again. Jeremiah cried a lot. He wept because people were hurting themselves by turning from God. Sometimes following God doesn't make us happy all the time. It makes us care more. We feel more and we stand up more. Jeremiah didn't give up, even in sadness. Even when he was in jail, he kept trusting God. He kept trusting God. So when we feel sad for the world, our friends, or even ourselves, we can pray, we can cry, but we got to keep going, just like Jeremiah. We've got to keep going. Again, like I say, it's okay to cry. Even strong people like Jeremiah wept. God sees our tears. Remember that it is not a sign of weakness, but a sign that you care. The third point is God stays with us in the hard times. People ignored Jeremiah. He was thrown into a pit. He was thrown into jail. He felt alone. Have you ever felt that someone and everything is just against you? Nothing seems to be going your way. But can I declare this over you? God stays with us even in the hard times. I know this is a time where Raymond looks at me and he goes, oh dear, here she goes again. No, there's no Raymond story today. There's no he's unemployed today. He is good. Like, I literally have it in my notes. No, guys, no Raymond jokes today. But in Lamentation, Jeremiah also said, the faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. Lamentation chapter 3 verse 22 to 23. Look at the person next to you and say, God's love never ends. Even when you are sad. Amazing. Next slide. As I now close in conclusion, Jeremiah showed us it's okay to feel deeply, cry, and still be strong. God doesn't ask us God doesn't ask us or call us to be perfect only. Because we're not perfect. Only God is perfect. But He asks us to be faithful. We need to be faithful. So now can I invite you all to proclaim the following over yourself. When I say it, you repeat. You say the next line. When things and situation gets hard, when I cry with a heavy heart and feeling sad, when I speak the truth and may hurt others. Amazing. So now, when you all were sitting down, on your seat there's a piece of paper and pens. So on one side of the paper, I want you all to write or draw a sad situation or even a prayer. Okay? Write about what you all think, a situation. And then after you've written it, on the flip side, when you turn to the other side, I want you to pick these three. God's love never ends, God is with me, or God gives me strength to keep going. Because I want you all to bring this back. In your home, in your time, keep it in your purse, your pocket, and remind yourself that God has never left you. God is your strength to keep going.